The Yellow River, a large river in northern China, has a total length of 5,464 kilometers and a drainage area of 752,443 square kilometers. One of the longest rivers in the world and the second longest river in China. 1.6 billion tons of sediment are carried each year, of which 1.2 billion tons flow into the sea, and the remaining 400 million tons remain in the lower reaches of the Yellow River for many years to form an alluvial plain, which is conducive to planting. The Yellow River Conservancy Commission stated that due to recent rainfall, the flow of major hydrological stations on the Wei River has continued to increase. In addition to the water coming from the north main stream of the Yellow River, the Yellow River Tongguan Hydrological Station has a flow of 5,050 cubic meters per second, which is the Yellow River's fifth flood in 2020. At 10 o'clock on August 21, 2020, the Yellow River No. 5 flood reached 6,600 cubic meters per second at Tongguan Hydrological Station, which was the largest flood at the station since 1996. According to the weather forecast and the water conditions in the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, the Sanmenxia Reservoir has discharged floods from 20 o'clock on August 17, and the Shaolandi Reservoir will continue to intercept flood and sediment discharge at 1,800 cubic meters per second, creating conditions for Dongping Lake to discharge water. At the same time, the Yellow River Water Conservancy Commission issued a notification to the Water Resources Department of Shaanxi, Henan, and Shandong, requesting the relevant provinces and units to attach great importance to flood prevention and related downstream flood prevention work in the Zhaobei mainstream of the Yellow River, Sanmenxia Reservoir area, and Dongping Lake. The dike facilities of the Lanzhou section of the Yellow River are safe. Some trails and docks have been submerged, shipping has been suspended, and warning signs have been set up on the banks of the Yellow River. According to the Lanzhou Water Affairs Bureau, the flow of the Yellow River in Lanzhou has increased recently, mainly due to the increase in water inflow from the upstream Dao River. The Yellow River Water Conservancy Commission implemented joint water and sediment dispatching in the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River. The Shaolandi Reservoir controlled discharge at 4,000 cubic meters per second, and the Sanmenxia Reservoir continued to discharge floods, and simultaneously initiated the fourth-level emergency response for flood and drought disaster prevention in the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River. Floods in the upper reaches of the Yellow River mostly occurred in July, August and September, mainly from the basins above Lanzhou. Due to the long rainfall duration, combined with better vegetation above Lanzhou, grassland, swamps, etc. have a strong retention effect on rainfall, resulting in gentle flood fluctuations in the upper reaches of the Yellow River, longer flood duration and lower flood peaks. The average duration of a flood at Lanzhou Station is 40 days, with the longest being 66 days and the shortest being 22 days. The measured peak flow is generally 4,000 to 6,000 cubic meters per second. The amount of sediment carried by the Yellow River is the largest in the world. The average annual sediment input into the lower Yellow River reaches 1.6 billion tons, and the annual average sediment content is 37.8 kilograms per cubic meter. The sand content of some sandy tributaries peaks as high as 300 to 500 kilograms per cubic meter, and 60% of the water volume and 80% of the sediment is concentrated in the annual flood season. The Yellow River contains too much sand, which increases the difficulty of water resources development and utilization. The middle reaches of the Yellow River account for 22.1% of the total length of the river, but the drainage area accounts for 45.7% of the total drainage area. There are many tributaries and the area growth rate is 285 square kilometers per kilometer, which is 2.07 times the average value of the whole river. The middle reaches of the Yellow River flows through the lowest plateau and is the main rainstorm area in the Yellow River Basin and the main source area of floods in the lower Yellow River. The lowest plateau has loose soil, fragmented terrain, and low vegetation coverage. Under the impact of heavy rains, strong soil erosion occurs, causing floods in the middle reaches of the area and carrying large amounts of sediment. 89% of the 1.6 billion tons of average sediment transported by the Yellow River for many years came from the middle reaches, 90% of which came from the flood season, and the flood season mainly came from several floods with high sediment content. For example, in August 1933, the 12-day flood of the Shanxian station accounted for about 50% of the annual sediment. The maximum sand content of the measured flood was 933 kilograms per cubic meter at Longmen Station and 911 kilograms per cubic meter at Sanmenxia Station. The Yellow River gave birth to Chinese civilization. As early as the Stone Age, China's earliest Neolithic civilization was formed. For example, Lanshan civilization and Banpo civilization appeared in the Hui River, a tributary of the Yellow River. Longshan civilization appeared in Shandong Peninsula and so on. More than 6,000 years ago, agricultural activities began to appear in the basin. About 4,000 years ago, some blood-related tribes formed in the basin, among which the Yandi and Huangdi tribes were the most powerful. Later, Huangdi obtained the position of leader and merged with other tribes to form the Huasha clan. The descendants of Yan and Huang all over the world recognized the Yellow River Basin as the cradle of the Chinese nation, called the Yellow River the Mother River, and regarded the Yellow Land as their root. The second longest river in China, which resembles a giant dragon, has been given too many cultural and spiritual symbolic meanings. Instead, her complete appearance is hidden by heavy hymns.